Okay, firstly, welcome everyone and good morning to today's webinar. So hopefully you're a coach or you're thinking of becoming a coach and you want to know how to actually fast track that process. Today, what I want to share with you, it comes from 21 years of experience as a coach. And I want to give you some heads up and some hacks to help you to fast track the coaching process. So, firstly, I want to give you just a little bit of background. Back in 2002, I started the journey of being a coach. And for me personally, it was kind of like finding home. All of a sudden, I had a language and I had systems and I had structure and I had ways to help people to coach. Prior to coming into coaching, I worked at News Limited and I was working in their marketing departments. And what I was literally doing is I was problem solving. And I enjoyed working with people one on one and helping them to solve problems. And quite often, a lot of the managers would send a lot of problem staff to me to help them. So I was kind of coaching naturally from the get go. But I didn't have systems, I didn't have structures, and I didn't have ways in which to help people. So a lot of those meetings, which were essentially what I came to learn to be coaching meetings, took hours and hours and hours to really help people to resolve problems. And coming through the coaching journey, what it actually did for me is it helped me to fast track those problems so that I was able to help people much, much quicker. And I escalated that to the degree that I was able to work with some very serious problems like, chronic depression, for example. And I was able to help people to get through chronic depression within one coaching session. So I got to a point to find out how do you really transform a person's thinking in the quickest possible way. And today, what I want to share with you is why that is hugely valuable and can make a massive, massive difference in your coaching. So, what we've done is I've got a lot of content to get through. I'm going to hold the chats until the very end. So, if you do have any questions, feel free to write them down. And I'll also give you my email address at the end of the webinar today, and you can correspond with me and ask any questions that you might have about coaching. So I guess one of the things that's really important to me is coaching is one way to help the people around you to be able to fast track their results, get through psychological challenges, and also get beyond debilitating type problems that people might have in their lives. So I'm going to deep dive right now and I'm going to share my screen and we will dive into this particular training. So I've called this particular training Unleash Your Income Potential. And this is very much about how do you increase your income through helping others. And that's what this is very, very much about. So what I'm going to do is start off by covering what we're going to cover. So the first thing we're going to talk about is crafting a compelling brand. Now that's quite critical in the space of coaching, because if you don't know the fundamental elements in crafting a compelling brand, you could find yourself just waiting and waiting and waiting for clients to come your way and getting crickets. Now, the other thing that makes it massively helpful in the space of coaching, and now I'm talking about moving to become a six-figure coach in your first year, one of the things that really helps is what I call the expert journey. And It's how to actually position yourself as an expert. And I'll show you how to actually do that today, and essentially how to become an authority. You're also going to discover 3 formulas that turned me into a 6-figure coach in my first year. And also the 3 massive mistakes that most coaches make and how to avoid them. And I'm also going to show you a model if you're currently working in a full-time job and you want to then move over to be a full-time coach. One of the critical pathways to do that is you've got to be able to keep your cash flow running. And I'll show you how to keep your job, that is your cash flow, or another business that you're transitioning from, and be able to then move into coaching full time. So I'll show you a strategy that we share with our students in our life coach and NLP practitioner program. Now, I'll also show you our 6-figure business model and how you can get started as a coach if you are not currently a coach, or you are a coach and you want to add something like neuro-linguistic programming to your skills to be able to fastly accelerate people's results. So the first thing that I'm going to cover is craft a compelling brand and become an authority. The way that I'll start this is I'll start this by explaining who I am. So if you don't know who I am, then let me introduce myself to you. My name is Rick Schnabel. Now, I don't position myself as a life coach. Now, even though I do life coaching, the life coaching that I do is a variation model. Now, when I first graduated as a life coach, the process of life coaching is typically asking questions, offering questions to be able to find the resources within the client. Something that I found in my coaching journey is that model doesn't always work efficiently, particularly when someone is in a stuck state. Someone is in an emotional turmoil, someone is having massive problems. It is very difficult for a person to become resourceful when their state or their energy is depleted. So I built a new model, and that model essentially became brain untraining. So what I did is I utilized skills of NLP or neuro-linguistic programming and other skills that I had developed myself, and hybrid skills that I had learned from many leading transformational agents. And so rather than positioning myself as a life coach, I positioned myself as a brain untrainer. Now, of course, you probably know I teach coaches as well as being a coach. And the reason that I continued being a coach is it makes my trainings much more efficient, because when I'm teaching coaches, I've got so much experience and so much recent experience that I can bring into my trainings for coaches. And equally, as a marketer, as an advertising person, and that's my background, and also in sales, something that many, many coaches don't have is they don't have those skills. So we built essentially a hybrid program that encompasses all of that to teach coaches to be the best that they can be, to give them brain untraining skills, and also to market, sell, and promote themselves to be able to get clients, because at the end of the day, that's what we all want to be able to do, and that's what we studied for. So the brain untraining is a positioning, and it's a positioning that essentially the sorts of clients that I typically get as a coach are usually people who have seen many practitioners, perhaps have even been seeing a psychologist, a psychiatrist for a period of time, and have had no result or no outcome that they're really aiming for. And so they would often find myself because of my marketing tactics that I would be using and my marketing vehicles that I would be using that really catalogs what I actually do. And I'm going to give you some insights as to how you can do some of these things too. So this is about positioning. So here is how I position myself. This is a gentleman called Vladimir Platil. Now, this particular gentleman, in 30 minutes, and that's literally what it took, in 30 minutes, I challenged his thinking so deeply, so unconsciously, that as a result of that coaching, he doubled his income. And that was a profound result. And it was kind of, when I first started out as a coach, it was kind of a little bit unheard of that you could actually have such an impact. And it was him and others, and I'll share another one with you. This is Andrew. And he said that I'm the best that I've ever been in 30 years. And my family even say I look better, and it's all due to removing my blocks and my renewed motivation. Now, Andrew had deep level depression. There were a number of things which I won't go into because it's not declared here in the testimonial. But these things were blocking him. These things were stopping him. So what I did is I utilized my brain untraining techniques and processes to completely turn his life around. And he's in a great space now, which is awesome. And now there's one other testimonial that I never got. Well, actually, I did get a testimonial from this gentleman, but it wasn't the work that I did. It was kind of like, Rick's a good guy. Terrible testimonial. But this particular gentleman had multiple sclerosis, and he came to me believing that I had the skill and the mindset to shift his thinking. Now, we did a number of sessions, and when we got to about the fifth session, his multiple sclerosis completely disappeared. All the symptoms completely disappeared. He is now free of MS. Now, this put me into a whole new league of coaching, because I was now working with people with very critical psychological problems, and also people with physical disabilities to, a large degree, that by note on, if you do any research on MS, it is incurable, so they say. But here is an example of someone who had it, who no longer has it. So brain untraining actually came from that particular client. Now, he said to me at the end of our coaching, he said, "You're not a coach." And he said, "You're not even a trainer." He said, "You're a brain untrainer." He said, "You literally untrained my brain of everything I thought I was, and you shifted my thinking to the degree that I now am completely free of the symptoms." Now, this caused me to do a massive deep dive into the brain and how it works, and my training went much, much further. And I started to realize that you could actually change a physical symptom by changing the neurological connections in your brain. And I became quite a specialist at this. So this is how I got my brand. It actually came from a client of mine, and I then positioned myself as a brain untrainer rather than a coach. So who am I? I studied coaching in 2002, NLP, EFT, metaphysics, clean language. I've studied so many things over the years, but in essence, it was all directed in the same area. It was all about, how do you transform someone? And the reason I went beyond my NLP training and my life coach training to go into many other areas was because I was insatiably curious as to, how do you shift a person's thinking? How do you move somebody? And that's what led me to my expertise. Now, my first level of expertise was very much around the concept of money, finances, wealth, all those sorts of concepts. The reason, because I always struggled with money. Now, if you're a coach, you'll go, that's a story. And it was. It's a story that I kept telling myself. Now, what we come to understand as coaches, particularly brain untrainers, is we realize that we are where we are because of our thinking. It's not because of our circumstances. Our circumstances are just simply a result of our thinking. And so this became my specialty. In 2004, I had a massive financial epiphany, and I wrote a book about it. Now, this book became the book that opened up people's thinking. Now, this was, before The Secret came out and What the Bleep and all of those sorts of things. And a lot of people resonated with the ideas in that particular book. And my publisher, who was amazing in his thinking, I had some other idea for the title of the book. And I remember handing him my business card, and he said, I've got the title of the book. Let's call it Life Beyond Limits, which was my business name at the time. And what happened was, essentially, this book, when I put it out as to how I went from my story, essentially is I was down to my last $27, and I was really, really in a bad financial space when I had this epiphany. And within months, I was earning more than Prime Minister John Howard, which was the Prime Minister of Australia at the time when I got this epiphany. And what happened as a result is, all of a sudden, I started earning ridiculous sums of money. And, I started earning annual incomes in a month. And it really transported my financial world enormously. But I couldn't shut up about it. It was so exciting that I wanted to share with everyone that you can change your world. And so this book essentially became another book. Well, it was the same book, but republished in the UK, The Secrets to Creating a Life Beyond Limits. And then it finally was republished to A Richer Way to Think. So, of course, I wrote many other books. And my point here is that if you're going to be successful as a coach, you really have to claim some level of expertise. And my expertise was very much in the area of helping people to get beyond their income capacity. I've got so many testimonials about people who doubled their incomes, increased their incomes by 100,000, 500,000, 600,000, and more. And much of this essentially came from my expertise. So I translated the book into an event called Breakthrough, which then led on to our life coach and NLP practitioner training. It then led on to our master coach and our master NLP practitioner training, speaker training, trainer training, and so it goes. So all of this started literally with a book. So let me jump into the 3 formulas that made us millions. So all 3 formulas originate from one basic formula. So just hang with me here with the ideas. What I'm doing is I'm layering ideas. So you essentially can start putting these ideas together and then getting your own epiphanies around this. So let me start with the formula. The formula that I'm talking about is, what is wealth? What creates wealth? It's actually a formula. And the formula essentially is value times leverage. What does that really mean? Let's translate it another way. Value is the meaning that we place on things. Some people have things that mean more to them than others. So essentially, when you have, when you value something, it means a lot to you. And things that mean a lot to you usually have more value. Another way to look at the word leverage is to look at the context of maximizing. So in other words, you're doing one thing or small things that become big outcomes or big things. So this is the formula that if you use it as a coach, it can be massively different in the results that you will get. Now, let me give you some examples of this. So, meaning the way to translate that is find the market where your product or service means the most. And that means that you will have the most value to that particular market. So in my context, rather than going out to everybody, I decided I didn't want everybody. And I wouldn't be pertinent to everybody. I wouldn't mean much to everybody. But the people that I wanted to go out and serve most were the intellectuals. Now, I'm not being arrogant here. I'm being pertinent. And what I mean by that is everybody believe that thoughts are just thoughts. You know, you have a thought and then you have another thought, and it really doesn't mean anything. But the intellectuals had come to a whole new level of thinking where, particularly people who read a lot of self-help type books, they knew that thoughts become things. So therefore, the intellectuals who knew that thoughts become things valued thinking more than people who just thought they're just thoughts. See, our educational system trains us to go to content. You know, we go seeking content, we go seeking knowledge. We don't go seeking how to improve our thinking. We go seeking more content, just chuck more and more content into our brain. That's how our educational system teaches us. But people who go beyond the educational system, people who become entrepreneurs, people who become quite successful, you know, in their careers or in their businesses, they realize that it's their thinking that actually makes all the difference. So that became our market, intellectuals. So let me take this a step further. So what we did is we created an environment for those intellectuals to come, which was our breakthrough event. And then people went on to our life coach and NLP practitioner certificate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But what sort of people were they? And this is a good way to think about your products as a coach and your journey that you're creating as a coach. So let me use our example. So this breakthrough was maximizing. It was actually going to a wide audience, and this audience, as far as their meaning was concerned, they were people who know thoughts create things. They were the intellectuals. So the people who knew that thoughts create things wanted to be able to break through their thinking, and so they came to breakthrough. So from that point, once they went through breakthrough, they were prepared and ready to now go to the next level, which was people who want to learn how to change their thinking. So the life coach and the NLP practitioner certificate, it was about two groups of people. One group who wanted the certification as a life coach, an NLP practitioner, Ericksonian hypnotherapist. So they wanted the qualifications. They wanted the certification because they wanted to take the skills into a professional realm. But there are others who wanted it for themselves. And of course, both audiences, there were some who wanted both. And so that was the meaning that those people place on what they could get from that particular course. Now, when we go to the next level, at the master level, these were now people who really started to get that at the life coach and NLP practitioner certificate, they were breaking through beliefs, breaking through all sorts of barriers, shifting their thinking, changing their thinking. But now they wanted to master their thinking. They actually wanted to get really, really good at being able to manifest all sorts of things in their lives. Now, at the next level, the meaning changed. Now, this was people now who wanted to speak to audiences to inspire people to change their thinking. And then the fifth group, these were people who wanted to teach people to change their thinking. In other words, duplicate what we were doing. And so this became the accredited journey. So, people became life coaches, speakers, trainers from this journey. And then there were some people who never went on from breakthrough, who just, were curious, interested about thinking, but they weren't really committed to improving themselves. So what this means is, as a coach, what you need to begin to think about is, who is your market? Who are the people that you want to serve, and where do you want to take them on the journey? So for us, or for me personally, one thing that I wanted to do is I want to serve the coaches. I want to serve the transformational agents. I love working with the speakers, the authors, the trainers, the people who really want to make an impact in the world, because that's what I care about. So this became essentially the journey that we built. Now, as a coach, starting out, you do not have to build to this level. This is fairly professional, from the perspective, and there's a lot of work involved in this. But for example, if you're just starting out, what you want to be thinking about is, who is the market that you want to serve? And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. So don't be overwhelmed, or don't be, daunted by this task. This task is much, much further down the line, but I wanted to give it to you at this level so that you understand ultimately where you may be going. So when we talk about the next element, which is maximizing, the thing to think about is, find where most of your market hang out. So we found that most of the people that we were talking to were readers, and specifically they would read in, the self-help genre. And most of the books that they would be reading would be, about alchemy, or, becoming rich or growing rich. And, because this became my first thing as a coach. I was helping, as I said earlier, lots of people to increase their incomes. And I had mastered that game. So I was one step ahead of my market. I knew what they didn't know, and I could help them to now move to the next level. So I then wrote, it was, of course, not called A Rich Way to Think in the beginning. It was called Life Beyond Limits. But I wrote that book. Now, that went into bookstores. It was around all these other books. So it was going into the places that I couldn't go to. It went all over the world, and it was in all these bookstores. And as a result, I didn't have to do the hard work of going out and finding those people, because those people found me, and they found me through my books. That's maximizing. That's leveraging. So what happened next is, when they read that book, they got that I knew how to help them. So what people did reading that book is, quite often they would say, how can I find out more? And then what they did is, they typically, in most of my books, I'll have something usually at the back or sometimes at the front that'll say, hey, if you want to work with me personally, here is how to do that. And so what we then had was we had essentially a free event. It was called Breakthrough, as I showed you earlier. And what we did is we had tickets in the book to, which we put a value of on Breakthrough at $4.97 to come to a 2-day event. But if you use the tickets, you could come free. So people then, of course, utilized their tickets and they came free to Breakthrough. We used to call it Career and Life Mastery in the early days. And so what essentially happened was they then came to a landing page, in which you can see down here, and they would put their name, their email address, and register for the event. And that then was building our database. So and we knew anyone who came to Breakthrough was interested in thoughts and wanted to change the things that thoughts created. So what happened is they would then register for that, and then there was the journey. So this creates the opportunity for those, for example, who are interested to come to Breakthrough. Those that were committed would come to Life Coach and NLP Practitioner Certificate, because of course now you're doing a big deep dive. You're giving a lot of the how to transform your life. Whereas at this level, you're giving a lot of the facts, the what do you do? And then at this particular level, at trainer training, now you're talking about high level expertise. So this is for example, this is a coach that wants to earn 6 figures. This is someone who's interested in making millions of dollars. So it's one way to begin to think about your journey, but so you don't miss the point, here are the 3 elements that we're really talking about in order to build your customer journey for your clients. So the first was the marketing vehicle. The book was the marketing vehicle. The Career and Life Mastery tickets to Breakthrough was the marketing system with the landing page. And then, of course, the programs was where people extract the value that you have, that you can give to them. So, that's the first element, that's the second element, and that's the third element. So if you're absolutely new to coaching, this is the journey. If you're already in coaching, this is something that you need to start building. And you need to start making these decisions. What's going to be your marketing vehicle? What's going to be your marketing system? And what's going to be your program? So let me take you to the next level. The 3 mistakes that 70% of coaches make. They don't do what I've just shared with you. This is what they typically do. So they build a website that can be viewed on multiple devices. That's essentially what they do. So, most coaches that I've seen, and we, of course, teach lots and lots of coaches, and we say, yeah, sure, build a website, but don't stop there. You've got to go to the next level to really make this work. So even though you've built a beautiful website and, it's got the latest technology on it, and it's got, all the beautiful plugins, and it looks beautiful, and it says a lot about you, and it may even have great videos on there and all of that. But what they do is they build that website that can be viewed on all those devices, but they just wait and wait and wait for clients, and that never come. And this is the truth. This is what is happening for many, many coaches. It's very, very sad. It's sad for us because, we love teaching coaches and we love coaches to be successful. So, one thing we tell our students in our program is we tell them the full story. We don't just simply say, here are the skills. We say, here are the skills of coaching. Here is the superlative skills to be amazing coaches. And here is how to get lots and lots of clients. And I think many, many coaching schools should be teaching coaches the full story, not half the story, because 70% of coaches fail because they don't know the full story. So mistake number one, they choose the wrong marketing vehicle, or they don't have one at all. Mistake number two, they market to everyone and get no one, failing to niche or choosing an effective marketing system. So mistake number two is they expect clients to find them without a niche and don't have a marketing system. So a good way to think about this is, rather than marketing to everyone, market to a specific group. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in a moment. Now, the third mistake that coaches make is they sell their time and not programs. You would have seen earlier that I was selling a program. Now that, of course, is to students who are learning the life coaching journey. That's that program. But in my coaching, I always build programs for my clients, not just one-on-one coaching or one-off coaching. I build programs to ensure that they get to where they really need to go. So mistake number three is, if you just simply sell your time, what you're doing is all your negotiations are really price-based instead of being solutions-based. Now, if you don't have programs, what your clients are going to ask you, and it's probably going to be the second, maybe even third, it might even be the first question you get asked: what do you charge? And if you answer that question, you have corralled yourself into selling your services for money. That's it. So it's all going to be about the dollars. And so if you're a life coach, all I'll do is just go shopping around for the cheapest, maybe not the cheapest life coach, but someone who they think is a bargain or someone that they think is of value. But if you're selling programs, they're looking for people who can solve a problem, or they're looking for people who can reach a goal and help them to actually get there. So this is a huge mistake. So let's look at it in another sense. Now, let's assume that you are, let's say you're in a rock band and you're really serious about this. You actually want to be a professional guitarist. Like, you want to be really, really good. But there are some issues that you have, maybe some beliefs that you have getting in your way. There's, you don't think you're good enough. You can't remember the songs. You think you've got an issue with your memory, or you've got confidence issues of getting up in front of people. Who are you going to book? Are you going to book a life coach if that's all that's on the table? What if there's someone else on the table? What if there's a rock guitarist coach? It's a no-brainer, isn't it? You're going to go to a rock guitarist coach because they're going to specialize. They're going to know the problems that all rock guitarists have. They're going to know what you need in order to be successful. Chances are they are already successful. And so as a result, what's going to happen is it's easier to market them. It's easier to choose the photos that you have on your website. It's easier to write the copy on your website. It's easier to go out and find your clients. Whereas if you're a life coach, you are so broad that it is very, very hard to actually market yourself. It's very, very hard to put yourself out there. And you'll find yourself in a sea of sameness. Now, I'm not saying that you should be a rock guitarist coach, because that might not be what you're interested in. But if you have, here, actually, let me go back a step. Something that I find students coming through our life coach and NLP practitioner program, quite often will, at the very beginning, we'll say to our students, look, I know some of you want to be great coaches, And some of you are here just for yourselves because you want to improve your thinking and you want to improve yourself. So I'm going to ask one very important question. What is the outcome that you want for yourself as you go through this training? What do you want at the very end of this training? Like when you get to the end, what is it that you want? And quite often, we'll hear students say things like, I have anxiety, I really want to get through that, or I have, chronic depression, I really want to break that pattern. And others, of course, say, I want to be an amazing life coach and, get lots and lots of clients. So the weird thing, well, it's not weird really, it actually happens so often that when we get to the end of the course, even some of those people who came for themselves that wanted to get through anxiety or depression or PTSD or whatever it is that their hang up is that's holding them back, when we get to the end of the course and we start sharing stories about where you're going to go to from here, a lot of the students who came for anxiety, for example, they'll say, you know what, I'm going to be a coach because I got through my anxiety and I'm so excited as to, how that transition panned out for me and all the benefits I got as a result. I'm going to be an anxiety coach, and the person with depression will say, I'm going to help people get through depression. I was that student because my outcome was I wanted to stop my poverty patterns. And when I broke my poverty patterns, learning neuro-linguistic programming, then that was the coach that I wanted to be. I wanted to help people break their poverty patterns. So quite often, a good way to think about this in the context of being a coach is that the thing that you're challenged with mostly, aim to get through that. Aim to get through your biggest challenge, and you may well find that becomes your niche because you'll be excited about it, because you'll, enjoy the fact that you've shifted so much that that's going to be hugely, hugely of value to you. So I hope that makes sense. So the next thing that I wanted to cover is our step-by-step six-figure business. So again, we're layering. So let's go to the next level because anyone can achieve this. So I said earlier, the formula to wealth was value times leverage. So the aim is for coaches to increase your value. If you just want to earn an average income as a coach, don't listen to what I'm saying here. But if you want to earn a serious income as a coach, this is a very serious proposition. And that is increase your value. So what do I really mean by increasing your value? What I mean by that is get yourself to a point where the value of knowledge that you have or the value of skill that you have is so highly valued by your audience, by your clients, that they will pay you well for what you do. So for example, in the early days of coaching, I helped so many people crack the code in earning a lot more income. And I'm not talking just about business owners, I'm talking about people in a career. And these people began to realize that their limits to their income was in their mind. And once I helped to shift their thinking, their income increased. So, for example, when you increase someone's income by even 50,000 or 100,000 or even $1 million, what are you worth? That's what I mean about value. So that's the thing that really enhances your value as a coach. If you're just going to go out there as a life coach, your value is going to be little. If you're going to go out there in a specific niche, your value is going to increase. So here's how I did it. So basically, the first thing that I saw this quote from a magazine. NLP is the most powerful vehicle for personal change in existence. And that was on quite a credible magazine called Psychology Today magazine. Now, that really got my curiosity up. I thought, okay, I want to, because I had graduated as a coach and I wanted to be an exceptional coach. So I wanted to find out, what is this NLP? I'd heard about it, I had a sense of what it was, but I had no idea completely what it was until I went through the program and I began to realize how powerful NLP actually is. So if you're a coach and you don't know NLP, you are at a distinct disadvantage. And I mean that. NLP just takes your coaching to a whole new level. It really, most of the highly successful authors, speakers, coaches, they all know NLP. And so I'd highly recommend that if you're a coach and you don't know NLP or you haven't trained under NLP, and I'm not talking about, scanning a whole host of YouTubes, because that's not the way to learn it. I'm talking about going through a full accredited course. So I went through the NLP journey. I went from NLP practitioner training. I then went to master training, speaker training, trainer training to become a trainer, and then finally a master trainer. And so this was a big, big shot in the arm. This was a big, big game changer. So what I did is I removed my can'ts. So there were many things that I thought I couldn't do. And so they were standing in the way between me being a successful coach and a not successful coach. So going through the NLP journey helped me to remove a lot of the things that I thought I couldn't do. And then when I believed I could do them, I started doing them. As simple as that might seem, it was actually the NLP processes that helped me to get beyond my can'ts. But what I did is I added to my cans the things that I could do. And what I could now do is I was now able to reduce people's anxiety and equally my own. And I was also able to remove depressive states. And I can remember my very first client who had depression, and I was so excited. And he told me that he had depression for 6 years and he'd been on medication for 4 of those years. And I said to him, "Do you want to get rid of depression today?" And he said, "Obviously, you haven't read my pre-coaching questionnaire." And I said, "I have." And he said, "Well, you would have read that I've had it for 6 years." And I said, "Here's the thing. You think because you've had it for so long, it's going to take just as long to get rid of. And that's not true. It's your thinking. And we can get rid of that today if you want." And when we got to the end of that session, he was just shaking my hand continuously, almost in shock, because he couldn't believe his thinking had changed so fast. And so that gave me an incredible edge. Now, the first specialty that I was looking at was stopping poverty patterns. And poverty patterns are trained. We all learn poverty patterns. We really, really do. And they're all around safety, and they're all very fear-based. So basically that became my specialty. So a lot of people think that when you specialize, you're going to omit a huge amount of people that you can help. That's not true. The example that I gave you earlier of my very first client with depression, when I helped him to get through depression in one sitting, that blew his mind, literally. What happened essentially is he thought, wow, if you can do that, can you also do this? And can you do this? And can you do this? And so he started giving me a shopping list of all the things that he wanted to change. And we just went through one by one, changing many of those things for him. And he was such an incredible convert that he believed that anything was possible by the time we were halfway through our coaching program. And as a result of that, he went on to enormous success and became a huge advocate for me. And, he was telling everyone around him, that, hey, you should see my coach. Hey, you should see my coach. And this is how coaching actually begins to evolve, where you start getting lots and lots and lots of referrals. I still today, 40% of my clients, in fact, 42% of my clients come from word of mouth. So it's just people telling people, if you want to change, talk to Rick Schnabel. So basically, clients came to me for everything, even though I have niched in my coaching career. And I've had many niches. I was an anxiety coach at one point, I was a depression coach at another, and I was a wealth coach at another point. Now I position myself as a brain untrainer because I've got a reputation, because I've got pedigree. I've been in the industry for 21 years now. And, many, many people know of what I can do. I've literally coached thousands and thousands of people. So, I don't have to work so hard to get clients anymore. So the thing is that starting out, if you want to do this slow, come out as a life coach. If you want to do this fast, make a choice, choose a niche. And I know you might be going, oh my God, what niche do I choose? What we do in our programs is we help our students to choose their niches. And one thing that we often share with them is what I shared with you earlier: go with what you've had the biggest change or the biggest shift in your career. So that's a most obvious niche, typically. And today I still work with people. I've got less hair, but I still work with people. And it, you can do anything. You literally can do anything when you know the skills or the techniques or the processes. Now, basically, I've got just sitting here right now my manual, my life coach and NLP practitioner manual. I don't have to open that. I don't have to read from that. I now know all of my techniques and processes all off by heart. And, it's fantastic. When you have this skill, you can travel anywhere in the world. And all you need to take with you is a pen and a pad. That's it, and maybe a laptop if you're working with your clients over Zoom, which I highly recommend. So here is Marilyn. Now, Marilyn changed her belief. She said, I believe no one would listen to me, but I was wrong. In just a few weeks, I got 1,902 people enrolled in my course. I was gobsmacked that a grandmother could succeed online. Now, here's one thing that typically using NLP skills, the biggest challenge that most people have is actually their own belief systems. And their belief systems is things like, in Marilyn's case, she believed that a grandmother and technology just weren't aligned, that as a grandmother, you couldn't understand how to create online courses because of the technology. Now, and what we did is we shifted her thinking around that. And then once that happened, it was just simply a case of steps. And that's how you need to think when you're building programs. How do you take a person from can't to can? What is the process that you need to take them through? And if you're NLP trained, of course, you'll be able to build those steps to get a person to that outcome. So that's literally what you're doing when you're talking about programs. This is Jürgen Mennel. And he said, Rick found my limits and removed them. In no time, I increased my income by over 100,000. I was finally flying high, living the life I had once dreamed of. So essentially what Jürgen had done is he had skills, he had potential, but there were beliefs in his way. There were patterns in his thinking, that drained his energy, that took his energy away. And what I did with him is I worked out, what did he want most? He wanted to increase his income. That was what he really wanted most. And I had to work out how much income did he want and what did he have to do in order to achieve that income, and what in his mind couldn't he do. And as a result, he got the result, and the rest is history. So the next point that I really want to talk about is the leverage point. So we know that the formula is value times leverage, but I haven't really spoken about leverage all that much. So what leverage is essentially, it's a tipping point. It's a something that you do that amplifies what you do, or it allows many, many people to know what you do. So that's what I mean by leverage. And here are essentially my two original formulas of leverage: talks and books. That's essentially my leverage points. So if you build a website and you expect that you're going to get lots of clients, you're just going to be sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting, because a website doesn't give enough value and connection to you to be able to get a sense of what you can provide. Of course, in our programs, we teach our students what to put on their websites so that they can attract a lot of people. But you've got to have some sort of leverage point. In other words, driving traffic to your website. So my techniques essentially were talks and books. But of course, and I'll be completely frank with you here, I was scared of public speaking when I was going through my NLP training. I was scared of it. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to get up in front of people. I would have preferred to hide behind a computer and not put myself out there, because I believed a whole host of things about myself that wouldn't allow me to put myself up on stage. So, of course, what I did is my coach and I worked on getting beyond my limits and getting beyond my paradigms, my programs. And then I found it easy. I found it easy to get up on stage. Now, getting up on stage, and there are some specific techniques that you need to know in order to do this efficiently. But the thing that you're doing in a nutshell is you're putting your value up as an opportunity for people to learn from you, or people to glean some great insights or some fast tracks or some hacks, some things that make it easier for them. And that's literally what you're doing. You're making it easy for them. So I did a lot of talks about wealth, about money and mindset. And, I could see people taking lots and lots and lots of notes. And of course, people, had read my books and they really wanted to master that game. And when they learned specific hacks, it made a big, big difference, because all of a sudden it started making sense. And they started to realize what was in their way. And you could do that with talks and books. There's many, many ways that you can actually leverage. This webinar is one way to leverage. It allows, many people to get this information. All I have to do is do this information once, and I will then put this out so other people can learn from this. And, it makes all the difference. So that's my point about leverage and value. So increase your value, expand your message so that more and more people know what you are. And niching is a very important piece to that. So now let's talk about how you can transition to become a full-time life coach if you want, or even a part-time life coach. And I'm going to show you a system that we teach all our students in our life coach and NLP practitioner program. So it's a combination of study, skills, and effective strategy. So here's what we teach people. So most people, when they think about their working day, they think about 8 hours. 8 hours is this chunk of time that they believe they have in order to make money, but that's not true. We all have 24 hours in a day. It's 3/8, and this is hence why I call this the 888 system. We all have 7 days in a week, Monday right through to Sunday. We all have 24 hours in a day. So for most of us, we give away our 9 to 5, Monday through to Friday. We give that to somebody, and they exchange that time we give them for what we might call our income. So that might already be assigned to someone else in order to get an income. Now, if we look at outcomes, that is essentially about the outcome is how to keep a roof over my head. So we do this work to achieve that outcome. So essentially, we have another 8 hours, which we call sleep or rest. So we typically sleep for that time, and the rest is play. So that's how most of our weeks form. Of course, everyone varies on the amount of hours that they work and the amount of days they work. So if we look at this as a model, we say, okay, how can we start a coaching business? Well, the first thing is the journey to success does always require some level of sacrifice. So what you've got to do is ask yourself, what am I going to sacrifice? So what I did in the beginning was I changed my outcome, and that was how to keep a roof over my head, which I had a full-time job, and learn how to coach and create extra income or more income. So what I did is I decided that I was going to coach from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., just to kind of round it down to a 1 hour time slot. So what I then did, it didn't actually really work like that. Sometimes I'd start at 6:30 p.m. and go through to 10 p.m. sometimes. So I'd have 2 clients. Sometimes I would work from 7 to 8, 1 client. But let's just call this the model, just to keep it nice and simple. So if you look at this and you say, okay, so that's the model. Most of our students, well, I say to all of our students that graduate from our life coach and NLP practitioner program, I say to them, once you've gotten to the halfway mark of this program, that you can easily charge $200 for a coaching session. So let's look at this. If you have 5 clients or 5 sessions at $200, that equals $1,000 per week. So if we look at that over 52 weeks in a year, that comes to 52,000. So this is how you could create an extra income or even start your business off. And that's one way to do it. Now, then there's the aspect of learning to coach. Now, what we do these days, and thanks to COVID and Zoom and all of that, we now teach our life coach and NLP practitioner training 1 night a week for 2 to 3 hours. And that way people can keep in their job, keep doing what they're doing, and just dedicate 1 evening each night or each week in order to learn how to become a coach. So what I also did is when I was learning, I did it differently. I did it over 8 days while I did it over a year as a coach. And then I did my NLP over 8 days. These days, doing it as we do it now over 35 weeks for 2 to 3 hours a day is far superior. It's a much, much better way to learn it. But back when I was learning, what I did is every morning I would go for a run, and I was living in Melbourne at the time. So I would run around the Tan, known as the Botanic Gardens, and I would put in my iPod all of my audios. So I would be listening and learning as I was going on a jog. And so that level of awareness of all the tools and the language and the processes pretty quickly got into my brain to a point that I could utilize them very easily and quickly. So this is one way that you can do this. Now, let's add an extra component, because this is what I did. I then dedicated my Saturdays to coaching as well as the evenings. So on a Saturday, I would allocate about 8 hours of coaching. And if you then again multiply that by your $200, that's an extra $1,600 a week, meaning you're earning $2,600 a week. Now you multiply that by 52 equals $83,000 plus your original 52,000. That means that just your evenings and your Saturday, your maximum potential is 135,200. Now, of course, we know it never works out exactly like that. You won't always get a client every single evening, Monday through to Friday, and you may not get 8 clients on a Saturday. But this is just a model to give you a bit of an idea. So eventually you get to a point that you're earning a reasonable income part-time. And you can then make the decision to get rid of your full-time work, which means that you now have your Saturday, your Monday to Friday, and your evenings as an opportunity. So your potential increases enormously. So your 5 by 8 hours by $200 equals $8,000 in your Monday to Friday. And so that comes to $416,000. If you add that to your 135, it comes to 551,200. This is how you can earn 6 figures, but you have to have done the previous things that I shared with you, increasing your value and your leverage. Because in truth, this is a formula, but without the other piece, this is not possible. If you just build a website expecting to earn anywhere close to these figures, you're dreaming. It's just not going to happen. I'm sorry. So the thing that you have to have is you have to have the other piece in order for this to work. So, of course, this is just looking at this in a context of filling all of those spots. But in truth, what I did is I gave up my my Saturday. I stopped working on Saturdays. I only worked Monday to Friday, and sometimes I did work from, in fact, 7 in the morning, sometimes to midnight. But I decided to change the model, and I only build the model now. Well, these days I only coach from Tuesday through to Thursday. And so I only coach, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 days a week. And that's it. That's all I coach. But that coaching earns me enough. So, but you've got to build your pedigree. You've got to build your expertise. You've got to start getting your systems all working. And so this lady is Christina Morrison. She was on Baywatch. In fact, if you watch Baywatch, you would have seen Christina. And she was an actor. And then she wanted to get into coaching. So she at first totally believed that she couldn't coach. And she made a new decision to coach. And then this was a testimony she gave me, which she said, since working with you, I've got coaching clients coming out of my ears. This is one of my specialties. I know how to get lots and lots of clients. And of course, I want to teach that to all my students so that they too can get lots and lots of clients. So even if you're working in another industry, you can transition. You need systems, strategies, and increasing your value and maximizing your leverage. Mandy Siegel is living her ideal life. She said that I'm full of inspiration and expertise and always deliver beyond the promises that I make. And yes, I do believe that that's completely true. This course, she said, helped me to grow into a successful full-time coach and trainer. What she actually means is these courses, she actually went right through to our trainer level. And she is not just a coach, she's also a trainer full-time. So she teaches as well as runs coaching. So if you are at the beginning of the journey and you basically are not sure how to really get started, what I'm going to share with you now is how do you do that? How do you actually get started as a coach? What is the best way to move forward? So this is our ultimate package that we've created to help people to get started as a coach. But what I'm talking about here is seriously started. I'm not talking about just, learning about coaching and creating a website and just putting yourself out there and hoping that you get successful. What I'm talking about is actually paving a path to ensure that you are successful as a coach. So this is what we call our transformational bonanza. So basically what we've done is we've put together 3 of our best programs in one to be able to help our students become highly successful if they're just looking for a transformational journey, if they want to be the best versions of themselves, and if you want to come out of this course with a life coaching certification and one that's going to allow you to be very successful with your clients and very successful as a practitioner. So our life coach and practitioner certification is the first program. Then we have a program called Marketing Incubator, which is teaching our coaches the things to do and the deep dive, going really, really deep. In this program, you get landing pages, you get copy for your website, you get all the systems that you need to know and copy so that you can be a successful coach. So that's all the marketing stuff and the sales stuff. And then finally, the last piece is the mindset stuff. If you want to be very successful, like you want to be a 6-figure coach, or even get yourself to 7 figures, you've got to have the millionaire mindset. And so what we did is we also brought in our Millionaire Master Academy. It's 52 modules. And this shows you how millionaires think, what they do, what systems they use, how they have come to become multimillionaires. So we've put these 3 programs together, and these programs are helping our students succeed in extraordinary ways. So let me show you a little bit more about each one of these. So the first one I want to talk about is the Life Coach and NLP Practitioner Certificate. In this particular program, this is foundational to advanced life coaching and NLP skills training. So you're learning so many tools, so many techniques to be able to literally deal with any problem that you will ever be given as a coach. And there's an enormous amount of things that you learn in this particular program, lots of systems, lots of structures. And here's some. So you learn how to remove negative emotions from influencing you and, of course, your clients. So negative emotions, quite often what they do is they slow people down, they cause procrastination, they cause all sorts of problems that people have that get them in a stuck state. So you'll learn how to get them out of that stuck state and get them into a motivated state. You'll also learn how to change negative and traumatic pasts for good. Most of what stops people is not just the emotions that people have, but the emotions often come from traumatic past. It's trauma, experiences that we've had that cause us not to be able to progress. Let me give you a couple of examples of this. Now, I've had so many students come into our program that, we've started talking about things like, creating a talk to be able to, glean lots and lots of clients, to get lots and lots of clients coming to you. And some of our students have said things like, I could never do that. And then we've said, okay, well, when we get to the piece where we teach you how to get rid of your traumatic past, focus very specifically on what was the trauma that's leading you to not want to put yourself up in front of people on a stage. And what we get is quite often our students will share things like they were laughed at school, and that's caused them not to want to put themselves up on a stage, or they were made fun of, or people joked about their genitalia, and God knows, there's so many traumas that many of us have experienced that cause us to create a list of can'ts. I can't do that, I can't do that, I can't do that, I can't do that. So you'll learn how to totally get rid of all of those can'ts and how to manage and master your emotions. So you've learned how to get rid of the trauma and how to reduce emotions from stopping you. But now it's about learning how to master your emotions. Bring on the emotions that propel you and get you motivated and get you excited about life. And changing limiting beliefs. Beliefs are just an on or off button. If you believe you will not or cannot do something, it's a belief system that is an off button for you that causes you never to build that skill or never to do it. And so beliefs can really transform your lives in so many different ways. And you learn specific mindset hacks that increase your income. And there's also a whole host of stuff in Millionaire Master Academy that helps with that too. And how to identify your limits and actually blast through them. It's essentially this particular piece is really critical. We call it metacognition. Metacognition is becoming aware of the thinking that creates the thinking. So that tells you what is actually stopping you. Most of us are completely unaware of actually what's stopping us. So in this program, you'll actually learn how to identify what is actually stopping you and be able to blast through those. And discover the power of hypnosis to change neural pathways. Now, they're just some of the things that's in this program. Just as a snapshot, you also learn how to improve your memory. You learn how to get rid of phobias, anxieties, depression, a whole host of things. It's a very, very advanced and amazing, amazing program. But here's what's for the coaches. In this program, as I say, usually 50% come for themselves to improve themselves. 50% come because they want to be excellent coaches. So I'll just give you a bit of a snapshot of what's in the program for the coaches. One is learning how to easily attract clients as a coach or change maker, and how to set up your coaching systems and administration so that you're making sure that you're ticking all the boxes that are necessary for you to do as a coach to make your business easy and make sure you're meeting legal requirements and so forth. And also you'll learn how to discover how to, once you start your business, how to scale it, how to take it to the next level, and how to create things like landing pages and websites and marketing copy and all of that. And there's a whole host more in Marketing Incubator, and how to become an influencer for good in the world and learn the actual tools of the change makers, and learn the commercial coaching system that all the professionals use. So it also teaches you how to go into the corporate space and be a coach in the corporate space as well. And there's much, much more for both coaches and individuals that we actually have time for here. So this is a testimonial from Vitali, and he said that my mind was being blown away every hour of the course. Truly amazing. He didn't come into the course to be a coach. He's not a coach. He's still an engineer, but he came for his own personal reasons. And it just really blew him away as to how much he learned about himself. He also got through a big, big block. I can't share that with you because that's personal, but this completely changed his life. In fact, he's now married with a child now and very happy. So this is essentially how we now teach. We teach, as I said, one evening, and we teach on Zoom, so you can do it from the comfort of your home. And this is how we all get together on a weekly basis, and we go through the modules step by step. And it means you can ask any questions that you want. The way that we typically teach it is we'll teach a topic. Let's say, for example, beliefs. We'll talk about what are beliefs, how do beliefs influence you, what are the steps in changing a belief. I'll then typically demonstrate it. So I will utilize one of our students. I'll say who has got a limiting belief that's stopping them. And then I will work with that willing participant. And then everyone can hear and see how it's done. And then what we do is then we show you in the manual the steps that I took to change that belief. And then we put you into breakout rooms, one-on-one, so that you are in a private breakout room where you can go through the process of changing each other's beliefs. So you learn about beliefs, you see it done, and then you do it for yourself. This is how the course is so transformational, because you're actually working on yourself as you're learning as we go. So you actually can't come out of this course without making incredible change, because you learn so much about how to do it on yourself. So it's a hugely valuable course. But these are some of the actual trainings. So what we do is, in our first Zoom 1, we learn about how your brain works. In Zoom 2, we learn a thing called logical level therapy. It's a system of identifying where is the problem located. You learn about the 7 filters of the unconscious mind and how to actually identify where to focus your attention. Submodalities. Now, this is amazing. Submodalities, you learn how to untrain your brain, and it's a hugely, hugely transformational tool. I won't go through all of these things, but I'm going to give you a link at the end of this webinar so that you can find out more information about this program. But we teach you how to build rapport. We teach you how to improve your learning. And there's so many things that you learn in this particular program. And that's just 15 of the modules. And there's, of course, 20 more. Now, this particular program is accredited through the Neuro-Linguistic Programming Association of Australia. That is where you gain your accreditation, which means that you can work as a professional coach as you come out of this program. And so the full value of this particular program is $3,960, but I'm going to, of course, bonus this up. I'm going to give you the other 2 bonuses that I mentioned earlier, and I'm going to massively discount this particular course. For those who are interested, I'm going to make your day and give you some very, very special bonuses. So here are the accreditations that you receive in this course. You become an NLP practitioner certificate. So that's what you get, an NLP practitioner certificate, and you get a life coaching certificate and an Ericksonian hypnotherapy certificate. So it's 3 certificates in one program. So it gives you these 3 levels of skill. So there's also full support. You get 6 30-minute Zoom sessions of support to guide you through the steps. So anything that you don't get, don't fully understand, any questions you have, any deep dives that you need, you have 6 30-minute Zoom sessions, and that will help you. You can use any of those anytime, and that will help you to ask any questions and get more information. Plus, there's 12 months of email access, so you can fast track your way to success. You can send unlimited emails, any support you need. In other words, if you need help, we're here during the training to be able to help you, on a very personal level. So the value of that is $2,500, and you get that totally free through the training as well. So here's what you get. You get the life coach and NLP practitioner training. You get the Zoom sessions with me personally, and you also get 12 months of email access. So total value of $6,460. You get all of this with your course. Plus, you get these bonuses. If you've already made up your mind that you want into this program and you want to register for this program, you also get the best marketing minds at your fingertips, which is the Marketing Incubator program. So this is the program that helps you to develop your marketing systems and your marketing know-how to be able to get clients. You can use this for lots of things, not just life coaching. You can use this to promote your online programs. You can use this in so many different ways for so many different things. But we specifically like to teach you how to get your clients using this particular program. So this is valued at $4,997, this program. You can buy it today online. But if you do our life coach program, you actually get this as a bonus. The other bonus you get is helping you to install a millionaire mindset. Now, this teaches you how millionaires think and teaches you their strategies and insights and understandings. So coupled with this program, this really is quite a game changer because it's a completely different way of thinking. It's not thinking like an employee. It's thinking like an entrepreneur. It's thinking like a millionaire. That's bonus number 2. And that too is valued at $4,997. And you get this with the program as well. So it's a super, super cool bonus. So you can also review the trainings anytime you like. What we do is every single training is recorded. So it means that you can review the training for life. So it's fantastic. You don't ever have to, jump back into the training at any other time. It's all there for you. You can do the training and then review the training anytime you like. So here's what you get. You essentially get the 35 modules. You get the Zoom sessions. You get the unlimited support. You get Marketing Incubator, Millionaire Master Academy. So this is $16,454 worth of value. And all of this is going to be reduced. So the reason that we want to reduce this is because we want your success story. And we also want to make this so attractive that you'd be crazy not to say yes to this particular program. Because after midnight, this program reverts to full price without the bonuses. So it is for a limited time. It's here for you today. And it's $16,000 worth of value. And here's why you want to do it today. Because it's only $2,997. Now, if you did this program with another institution, I promise you that this program, you wouldn't get half of what we're giving you today, but you'd be paying 3 times what you'd be paying today for this particular program. If you want to become an accredited life coach or NLP practitioner, you'll be paying anywhere from $4,000 to $15,000 for what we're giving you here. In fact, if you wanted all the rest of it, the Millionaire Master Academy and the Marketing Incubator, you'd be paying around $30,000 for it. So it's about 10% of what you would typically be paying for all of this, because we want to help leaders lead an evolution. Our heart is all about training life coaches. There are a lot of people who are being challenged right now. We've had rising interest rates, we've had high inflation, we've had all sorts of things that are creating a lot of stress for people. We're getting so many people with anxiety, so many people with depression, so many people who are struggling financially, and we're getting an enormous amount of inquiry all at that level. Now, we can't help everybody, so that's why we teach many, many life coaches, so there can be more life coaches out there, because there aren't enough life coaches to deal with demand. There's an enormous demand now, more than ever. So you could also do this at 277, 12 payments of 277. So, if you want to do this at a very, very low price, you can basically do it at 277 per month. And here's essentially how to do it. It's also got a 30-day money back guarantee. So after 30 days, if you say this isn't for me, you simply let us know that by email, and then we'll give you your complete money back. Now, the reason that you wouldn't want to do that is because if you do that, you're not going to get a transformation. You're not going to be able to shift your life as you will with this program. This program is enormous value. And at this price, you'd be crazy to give it back. But, if you have any doubts, this is why we provide the 30-day money back guarantee. How you do this is quite simple. You go to lifebeyondlimits.com.au/transform. And what that will do, that will take you to this page where there's a lot more information about the program. If you want to pay $277 per month, you simply click there. You'll see I've just circled it just there. If you want to get the biggest discount, you just basically click the gold bar, and it will then take you to this page where you click on buy it now. Now, some people get a little bit buy it happy, and they just keep clicking on that button, which means it just keeps adding to your cart. So if you've added more than one product to your cart, just simply go to this particular search bar, put the word cart in there, it'll take you to a cart. There's also a tab, and just reduce the number of things in your cart, and you'll see that it'll come down to the 2775, and then you can purchase it there. And, so this particular program, our next enrollment starts on Tuesday, the 22nd of August. That's our very first module. All trainings go from 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. over 35 weeks. So it means that if you're currently in a job, it makes it really easy. You just dedicate one night a week for a couple of hours or up to 3 hours, and you just keep going through each module over 35 weeks, and then you graduate. And you'll be ready to position yourself as a life coach and put yourself out there as a coach. And we'll show you how to get clients. About the halfway mark, we'll be showing you how to actually get your first clients. So you can literally start within about 15 weeks. You'll be out there being able to get your first clients, and we'll show you exactly how to do that. Plus, you get Marketing Incubator and Millionaire Master Academy straight off the bat. So you can start shifting your mindset around money and learn the tactics to be able to get your first clients, and how to position yourself as a coach. So the 2775 ends midnight tonight, or you get 12 monthly payments at 277, and it's all available at this link, lifebeyondlimits.com.au/transform. So Michael basically said, Life Beyond Limits, Life Coaching NLP program is the best we've seen in getting people into the right mindset to achieve amazing results. So if you have any questions, please direct them to me. This is my email address. You probably have already had an email from me, so just simply reply to that if you have any questions. And I encourage you to jump on and access the program. And thank you for joining us today. And I'm going to stop share for a moment if anybody has any questions whatsoever. I've gone through this today quite quickly. There's been a huge amount of information I've shared with you. You may, in fact, have some questions. If you have any questions whatsoever, just click on the chat button, which there's a little chat button right at the very bottom. And if you have any questions, feel free to just type your questions into the chat, and I'll be happy to answer those questions for you. If you haven't got any questions at all, you can just jump into the program if you want to do the full program with us. And equally so, I want to encourage you at this moment. There is a massive crisis going on in the world at this particular juncture. There are many, many organizations around the world that literally are trying to make it hard for you, are trying to make it challenging. Maybe not for you, but for people that you know. Coaching is an opportunity to really liberate the world. It actually really, really is. The only thing that's going to get people stuck, the only thing that's going to put people in problems is their mindset. And coaching creates the opportunity to help people to improve their mindset in a time that is massively challenging. Here is my prediction. I believe that we're going to get to a point where more and more people are going to start putting on coaches in their organizations to be able to help their staff. Many companies are having problems recruiting staff. I run a radio program every Monday called Business Matters. And more business people are saying the number one challenge is getting staff and keeping staff. So coaches equally can be the opportunity to be able to keep staff. Like if you've got, imagine if you're working in a career in a business or in a corporation, and if you had access to coaches, if you have challenges in your career, which you always will, if you have access to coaches, that's going to be a massive benefit for you to stay on in that job, in that role. So there are more and more businesses that are buying chunks of coaching blocks for their staff. And so coaching is massively on the rise. And so I would encourage you, if you're a coach, to completely put yourself out there. And when you do, you'll notice that there are many people who really need you to really help them. If you're thinking about being a coach, stop thinking, start acting. One thing I certainly know is the bigger the gap between literally wanting to do something and doing something, the bigger the gap, the more tension you create, and the less likely you will create success in your life. So shorten the gap. Get yourself to a point where you do something about what it is that you really want to achieve. If you want to be a coach. If you want to learn NLP, don't procrastinate about this any longer. Jump into the program and do something about it. That way, you will find yourself at the solution end of the problem, any problem that you may have. My name is Rick Schnabel. Thank you so much for joining me in this webinar today. And I hope that I'll see you in the program. And I promise you that by the time we've done the 35 modules, your life will be so much better. I promise you that. So hopefully I'll see you in the program and look forward to helping you to create your life beyond limits. Bye for now.